Hello, this is my blog post number 4 for CSC-355. Just to recap from the last video, I got partway through the Junior Programmer Create with Code 1 mission. And in this video, I'll be wrapping this mission up as well as touching on a few other things. So the first tutorial that I left off with was Introduction to Project Management and Teamwork. And this one just kind of gave some general tips about things like documentation, time management, communication, and professionalism. And so those were kind of my main takeaways as far as like how to, build a successful project. And then I guess where things really sort of got put up to the next level is with Unit 2 basic gameplay. And so there's a lot to cover. I'll just kind of go into the first game. Again, there's just sort of a lot of content here, so I might skip around a little bit. I might end up missing a few things, but I guess just bear with me. I'll give a quick demonstration of the game first. So we're controlling this little character down here. We can move them left and right. There's dogs coming at us, and we fire these bone projectiles. If at any point one of the dogs gets past us, it'll print a game over message here in the console. And I guess a couple of other things, if I move like all the way to the right or all the way to the left, you'll see how it does this little stuttering thing, and I can't move past like a certain boundary. And then another thing is like as the dogs are running at us, after they cross that certain point, they'll despawn. And the same is true for the projectile. So if you sort of watch it up here, it also despawns as well. And now I guess we'll take a look at some of the things going on behind the scenes. So if we pull up one of our dog prefabs, I gotta try to find it. You'll see this is like the hitbox for it. So once the dog and the bone collide, they both sort of despawn. And this is how it sort of detects that. And the same is true for the bone here. And then we can, change these values to change like the size of the hitbox and everything. And now I guess we'll go ahead and take a look at the code. So first of all, we have our player controller, and a lot of this stuff we've seen before. This part here is new, and what this does is keeps us in bounds by essentially if the player tries to, go past the boundary, it will just reset their position to the actual boundary. And yeah, that's what just keeps us in bounds. The detect collisions script here will basically it looks for if the two hitboxes of the dog and the bone end up colliding, that triggers both of the objects to destroy. Similarly, with the destroy out of bounds, we have a certain limit here, and if the projectile or if a dog crosses that threshold, it will also destroy it. And then we added this line here where if a dog ends up crossing the threshold and that means it got past the player, so that's why we'll print this little game over message here. The spawn manager script is a little bit more involved. Couple of new things here. First of all, we kind of created our own function outside of the update and start function. And I was also introduced to this little random object. So essentially what this does is it takes a random number from our animal prefabs array, and it will spawn that corresponding animal within a random range or a random location within our range. And then we have this invoke repeating function, which basically calls this function multiple times over the course of the game. And so that's what kind of helps everything. That's what makes the game run smoothly. And then similar to Unit 1, this Unit 2 came with its own little challenge here. So basically we were given this scene and there were like a lot of bugs in it that had to be fixed. So again, I'll just give a quick demonstration before anything else. You can see the ball drops here and we'll send a dog, and if the dog gets it, the ball will despawn. If it misses, or if we don't send a dog or something, then the ball just kind of reaches the floor. If we send out a dog, it will also despawn at the end. And then you'll also notice, I guess, that we have different kinds of ball dropping. So that was a blue and now a red. There's also a green one. And then, yeah, I guess a few other things that I did is basically, if I don't know if you can hear this, if I'm spamming the button, but like it only lets you like send a dog out every so often. And then the balls might drop at like different intervals. So I guess again, we'll just sort of look at the code really quick. The biggest thing was just, I think that, I mean, I had to clean up a lot of the other little like bugs in there, but this was the one that was a little bit like tricky. So I'll just walk through it really quick. Basically, there's like a delay. So we start out with we set our delay to 2 seconds here, and then we have just like a timer. And so every frame, it counts up the time. And after we've reached that time, that's when it'll allow us to, launch or send our dog out to fetch the ball. And then after we've sent out the dog, then it will just reset that timer and then it'll start again. So then it'll have to wait another 2 seconds before it enters this inner loop here. And so yeah, that kind of covers the challenge as well as I guess the other game that I built. And so if we I guess take a look at what's next here, we had to build off of if you remember all the way back to unit 1, I had to do this project design document and I sort of came up with a little diagram for a game here. And then one of the things that we had to do at the end of unit 2 here was build like a little scene for it. So you can see here's like a good, this is like a Unity. I basically put it in Unity, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we weren't instructed to add any scripts to it or anything. It was just kind of putting these primitives in as placeholders for, when we're actually ready to build the game. And so I kind of did that based on the diagram that I created. And then next up, we had this challenge. It was modify this little cube, and I'm not really sure, there wasn't a lot to this one, but basically I'll go ahead and demo it really quick. All it does is kind of take a cube and have it do different things. So in this case, it just kind of spins. I think the main takeaway with this one was just the fact that, we're starting out with just the cube and basically we're doing everything inside the script. So we're not like adding anything in here, it's still just kind of a plain cube. And then when we actually go into here, this is when we're giving it a color and making it rotate and setting the position and everything like that. So just doing more stuff from the script rather than within the Unity editor. And so that was kind of cool to sort of take that away. And yeah, I think that covers almost everything other than I added to my 2D game. I know I mentioned this at the end of my previous video, and I'll give a demonstration of what it's currently like. So I was able to accomplish what I wanted to with this one. It might take a second to build. But yeah, so I can move my mouse left and right, and that's what's going to move this pizza left and right. And then, once I drop it, it'll go down here and it'll print out the message that I won. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll show you how I'll show you some of the code here. I went over this, we went over this in class and that was super helpful to me as far as getting a little bit more comfortable with C#. Basically, I just kind of used an if statement and I used this Boolean value to track whether or not the ball was dropped. And once it is dropped, basically, we stop taking the x-axis mouse input, and we also turn the gravity up to 1. And so we turn the gravity on. And then basically I added some more code at the end here it'll print out based on the pizza's final position. It'll either print out whether you won or you lost. And it kind of recognizes that based on whether its final position is within either of these three little, if it's within this area, it prints you win. If it's anywhere else, it prints you lose. And I guess just to show that if we end up losing, we get a little "you lost" message here. And I think that's pretty much everything. Although I did want to show really quickly, I built the WebGL build. So here's this mod, the cube one. Again, this one isn't very exciting, but yeah, it just spins. But there's that one, and then there's the alien pizza delivery one. Again, it works just fine. If I was a little bit nervous, like if you'll notice here, it kind of doesn't work. But then if you sort of do that, you can sort of, move it anywhere along here that you want. And then you drop the pizza along. And then this was also something I learned. Since I'm using Edge, I can press F12, and there might be different buttons on other systems, but again, here it prints the message. There's a little console that comes up here, and it'll print my message out too. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, I just wanted to touch on this, that I was able to kind of do a WebGL build, just because I know that's something we'll probably have to do when we do our game jam. And so just kind of getting comfortable with that process and making sure that it works in a web browser. I think that covers everything that I wanted to touch on in this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.